YouTube, hello. Instagram, hello. Facebook, yeah. It's the first Fowler Show live. This is pretty awesome. How y'all doing? So we're gonna do this every week on Thursdays. We'll do the Fowler Show live. We'll talk about some of your comments. Talk about some news of the day. Do this about 15 minutes every show, and we'll see how it goes. You guys should always feel free to comment. This show's nothing without you. And you guys can join on Instagram, you can join on Facebook, you can join on YouTube, you can join all over the place, everywhere. So this was a crazy week in news. So the president's currently in Davos at the World Economic Summit. But before we talk about the president, I love to read your comments. This comment comes from Daniel Garcia. And here's what he said. He commented 4 days ago. He says, with your YouTube channel, it doesn't affect your pockets. It doesn't really affect your everyday life, your success, so it doesn't really matter. It's every man for themselves. If all those people are removed, it's going to affect your job, it's going to affect your life. And I'm pretty sure you're not still living your everyday life. Life will find a way. It's not like every American person will end up with a shovel in the end. I will probably come up with some kind of technology, robot, machinery to handle the missing labor. So I'm assuming he's talking about my take on immigration and how, this idea that they're going to deport 200,000 temporary status individuals from El Salvador. And he's like, well, it doesn't matter. But it actually does matter. Because this ideal, so the president said, that we need to get rid of all these illegals. We need to get them out of our country. And so my response, to be frank, beyond the fact that it's morally wrong and it's a stupid idea, right? Beyond those things, let's talk about the fact that these 11 million people individuals living in the shadows, they actually contribute to our economy quite a bit. First of all, nobody ever really talks about the contributions these individuals make, because one, they do jobs that Americans won't do, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's not true," but it is true. These folks make sure think about it. They go out there, they're picking cabbage, the farm laborers, the farm workers who are undocumented. Not only are they harassed and abused in these fields, but they are literally making sure that the price of vegetables don't go above a certain mark. So this idea that if we round up all 11 million individuals and kick them out of the country, that it's somehow going to make America better is a farce and a really bad ideal. So Daniel, yes, you're right that, not everybody's going to end up with a shovel. And yes, they'll create robots, but you'll never, ever take the human labor away from some of the work that we need in our economy. And this human labor is fulfilled by undocumented individuals in this country, period. We have another comment. This comment comes from, and this was on our MLK Day fail, which you gave the president a failing grade for his MLK Day performance. This comes from Radical Greek Beard. MLK the communist deserves no praise. The man was a degenerate, and some of the commies who put him in power had him killed. I don't even know if I want to respond to your comment, Radical Greek Beard. I don't really think. Well, first, MLK wasn't a communist. Second, I think his accomplishments speak for themselves. Period. And I'm not going to justify your comment with a response. And why he died? I mean, I don't know. I think you have to ask the FBI that question. But I think his legacy will have far outlived his years on Earth, and it speaks to the fact that he, it speaks to the fact that he worked really hard to create equity, and Greek. What is this Greek beard guy? The other comment that I have for you is, remember, as MLK said, the arc of the history is long, but it bends towards justice. So there's that. All right, we have another comment from Daniel. This was on. No, we already read that one. This one is from Daniel. This is from Daniel. He says, I think deep down we all knew, besides Trump's brainwashed base, that there that once the tax cuts were given to the corporations and working class would see no benefits. Trickle-down economics is non-existent. It all goes to the upper class. What Walmart did was wrong. Nothing short of a PR stunt. They gave the workers a permanent raise, and to the detriment of thousands of people, and then said the raises were because of the tax cut. They took the American people for true imbeciles. You are right. Yes. Daniel, thank you. You got what the message I was saying, because that's exactly what I was trying to say. They took us like we were stupid. Walmart thought we were stupid. We're not stupid. We're actually pretty smart, because everybody was like, wait a minute, Walmart. So yeah, you gave out bonuses, and yeah, you gave out raises, but then you fired 1,000 people. You didn't even tell them. Thousands of people. You didn't even tell them. Like, people just showed up to work, and there was a sign in front of their Sam's Club store that said, sorry, we're closed. Find jobs elsewhere. Hasta luego. Godspeed. Good luck. And then they went out and talked about how they're creating all the jobs. And Walmart wasn't the only company that was a bad actor, right? Because AT&T did the same thing. They said, oh, we're giving out bonuses. Before we do that, we're going to fire 1,000 people. More than a couple thousand. So there's that. Hey, we have somebody who was watching our Facebook from all the way from the Nassau, Bahamas. Hey, girl, I see you. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you, baby. And this is large. And I'm telling y'all, you've got to follow the story on these corporations who are lauding. Because first of all, here's this. There's none of these corporations that want to get entangled on Donald Trump's Twitter account. They don't want their at Walmart, their at to end up in the president's tweets if it's not positive, because they know it's going to be awful, right? So they're all trying to like please the president, but they're all doing shady things in the background. So you've got to watch what's happening in the background, folks. And that's what we will do here at the Fowler Show. Every time these corporations engage in bad acts, we will do it at the Fowler Show. Next week, we're going to have big news. Big news. And you're going to want to watch next week's show. We're going to be talking about this Monsanto-Bayer merger. People are like, Monsanto-Bayer. I don't know what that means. I'm going to tell you that it's bad. This Monsanto-Bayer merger is bad. So both Monsanto and Bayer, they're both makers of seeds for a lot of the products that your many household products, corn, soybean, etc. They're trying to merge. Both of those CEOs met with Donald Trump a couple weeks back. Remember, this merger will have to go to the Federal Trade Commission, where Donald Trump's appointees have a majority, right? So now, America, you got to watch this one, because this could spell doom and gloom for small mom and pop farms. We're going to talk about it on the Fowler Show. You don't want to miss. You don't want to miss next week's episode. It's going to be an explosive report. It's going to be epic. Our whole team is working on bringing this. No news network is covering this Bayer Monsanto merger, but they should be, because the impacts are disastrous for the American people. When these two companies come together and they're able to control the seeds that we are eating, the seeds that go into most of the products in the middle of the grocery store. When I say that, I mean it. So everything that's not in your, so when you go to the grocery store, right, think of your grocery store like a big U. So everything that's on the sides, so you have your, when you walk in the grocery store, you have your produce, your fruits, your vegetables, then you have your meat section, then you have, your eggs and, all that stuff on the other side. Not those parts of the store, but the middle. So all the stuff in the middle, the stuff in the boxes and the jars and the cans. All of that stuff is going to be affected by this Bayer Monsanto merger. Like 90% of the grocery store will be affected by this Bayer Monsanto merger. Big. And the fact that they're merging and the fact that Trump might let this merger happen is big news. No news network is covering it. We're going to cover it here on the Fowler Show, because we are about informing, empowering, helping get your voice back. This is the informing part, because you've got to know. Wait a minute. Why are these two seed companies merging, and what impact does it have on farmers, and how does that trickle down to my grocery store, and what me and my kids are consuming? What we're eating. This is real stuff, people. It's real stuff. It's real live. We're covering it next week. You do not want to miss next week's episode. I mean, my team is feverishly working to the point where their fingers are falling off. Not really, but sort of. On this issue. So there's that. AT, I see you. Thanks for tuning in on Facebook. So that we're covering that. And the other issue that we're going to talk about on next week's show, while you don't want to miss it, is what is taking place in Florida. You know, I'm from Florida, so I care a lot about it. But in Florida, there's a ballot initiative that will restore the rights of felons who have already served their time, have already done their time. They're now free. They're walking free in Florida, but they don't have the right to vote. This bill will restore the right to vote for this ballot initiative. If it passes in Florida, will restore the right to vote for 1.5 million people in the state of Florida. We're covering that on next week's show. You don't want to miss that story either. It will be huge. It will be big, and it will. If it passes in this coming year, it will determine the outcome of the 2020 presidency. That's how big it is. Because if you could get 1.5 million people back on the voting rolls, on top of the fact that 40 or 50,000 Puerto Ricans have moved from the island of Puerto Rico to Florida. So you have 50,000 new Puerto Ricans who are American citizens ready to vote. And then on top of that, you have 1.5 million people who will now be given their rights back to vote if this measure passes in Florida. That is a lot of voters that will tip Florida bluer than blue, baby. So there's a big issue we're covering on next week's show. Troy, I see you. I'm happy I'm your favorite liberal. Thanks for watching. So that's another story we're covering on the show next week. You want to catch that one too. What do you mean? What do you mean, come on, Noreen? I mean, it's true. It's a big deal. 1.5 million people being allowed to vote is a big deal. It's a big deal. And here's my thing on this voter rights restoration. I'm not going to go on a diatribe on this, but I think it's a very big deal, and it's something that's worthy of all Americans' consideration. I get it, right? People commit crimes. But I think once you serve your time in society, you've done your time, and you walk out that jailhouse, you should be given back your right to vote. Why not? Why? Because you're living in the community, you're paying your taxes, and thus you should have a say on how the community is run. And the fact that we've taken away people's right to vote after they've committed a crime and they've been rehabilitated speaks to, that's not who we are as America. Our democracy is strong because everybody should be given the right to vote. Every American should be. Voting should be the easiest thing possible to do. If we could get the security right, and if we could get all that stuff right, I would be okay with us being able to vote on our cell phones. I don't think we'd get it all right. But if we could, we should. I mean, voting should be easy. It is easier, people. In some states, it is easier. Well, no, in some states, it's easier to apply for a passport than it is to register to vote. Okay? And that's a problem. I'm a believer that once you turn 18, you should automatically be registered to vote. How they automatically put you in the draft, because I'm in the selective service, my entire team is in the selective service, automatically, right? That I think every vote, you should be automatically registered to vote at age 18, no matter where you live. No matter where in the country you live, every voter should be automatically registered to vote, age 18, period. No questions asked. I mean, it should just be a thing, because our democracy is strong when every American is participating in it. Every Democrat, every Republican, every independent, every American. When we're all participating in our democracy, it's strong. And Morgan Perry, who's watching on Facebook, says it was by design. Yeah, you know, Morgan, I agree with you. I think it's absolutely by design. And the reason why, and if you don't have to look far to see it was by design, because remember, when America first was created as a country, African Americans and women couldn't vote. And then they said African American men could sort of vote, and then women, and then we had to fight for the right to vote. After Plessy vs. Ferguson, and they put in the Jim Crow laws, and they started to limit the right to vote, and then it wasn't until 1965 that African Americans were given the right to vote. And now, I would argue that our right to vote is still in question. Reason being, you have voter ID laws. Reason being, you have some of these laws are insane. And I know we have conservatives watching, and I hope you hear me. And I'm not being partisan here, but I think, like I said, voting should be easy. And the fact that students at historically black colleges in North Carolina, right before the election, the precinct on that historically black college campus closes because we don't have any money to fund that. That to me doesn't make much sense. That seems to be nonsensical. That seems to be silly. That seems to be stupid. And that seems to be not who we are as American. Right? As America, we are a nation where everybody should be given the right to vote, and it should be easy. Right? And so that means there shouldn't be... And if you're going to do a voter ID, if Republicans... if we could compromise on voter ID. Right? We can compromise on voter ID. If you want to do voter ID, every voter ID should be free, and everybody should be able to get one. They should mail them to your house. All right, Troy, I'm off my high horse. He said, for God's sake, I agree with you. Okay, Troy, okay. Noreen, you guys are sensible Republicans. There's a lot of people in your party that disagree with me. All right, back to some more comments before we get out of here. Let's see here. This comment was on our... Whoa. This comment... I don't know where this comment came from, but somebody wished me a happy birthday. They said, happy early birthday, my fellow Aquarian. I'm not an Aquarian. I'm actually a Capricorn, and I'm a proud Capricorn. I don't talk about I am a Capricorn tried and true, so I am single, if you must know. But, I really am a Capricorn. So, I'm loyal as loyal can be, but don't fall on my bad side, because once you're on my bad side, that's trouble. So, if that answers your question, but I'm a Capricorn. I'm very proud of my Capricornness. All right, we have another comment. This comment's from Stephen Jones. Oh, wait, no, we have somebody come in. This is from Raven. She says, where could people watch your show? That's a good question, Raven. You could watch my show a lot of places. So first, you can watch my show on YouTube, which is youtube.com/Fowler Show. You could also subscribe, and you guys should be, this is the new Fowler Show. This is Fowler Show 2.0. We put a lot of new work into the new show, so you can check it out on our podcast. And to find the podcast, because the link is really long, you could either go to my Instagram, if you're watching on Instagram, and you could just click that link there and it'll take you right to the podcast. Or you can go to fowlershow.com and it'll take you to the podcast. You subscribe to the podcast. The podcasts are epic, because, come on, I'm epic, so there you have it. Or you could get the teasers. So every day, it's supposed to be at 11, but I'm slow. And I refuse to give my team control of my Instagram. So I put out teasers to the video being released on that particular day on Instagram, but they're really slow. So I'm sorry. It's bad. I should be faster, but I'm not. Because there's too much things going on in the day. Jesus, take the wheel. But that's how you can find out. That's how you can find the show. And always, you can catch me on Fox. And I think one question that we get about Fox a lot is, when am I on Fox so you can watch? There's some things that sometimes I don't know, and I'll tell you what I do know. So on Mondays, I'm on Happening Now in the 11 o'clock hour. On Tuesdays, I'm on with my girl Shannon Bream at 11 o'clock at night. So 11 o'clock in the day on Monday, 11 o'clock at night on Tuesday. On Wednesdays, I'm on in the 9 o'clock hour on America Newsroom with Bill Hemmer and Sandra Smith. I'm slow on the uptake there. And then throughout the week, you can catch me on The Story with Martha McCallum, and a couple of other shows. I hang out with Dana Perino on The Daily Briefing. But I try to tease them on Instagram. So there's always an Instagram video for me in the studio before I go on. So check the the best way to figure out when I'm on is to check the Instagram. And as we get into this 2.0, we'll start having graphics that tease out when I'm on a couple hours before. That'll probably start next week. So you should enter for those graphics. And cool. Henderson, Fowler Show Picks. Is that a new hashtag? I like it. Richard Fowler Pick. I guess, maybe. Usually the hashtags for the show are hashtag Fowler Nation. And then for the teaser videos, it's hashtag Fowler PSA. But Fowler Nation is our hashtag. It's also sort of stolen by the golfer, whose name is Rick Fowler. But I'm better than him. So there you have it. All right, one more comment before I get out of here. This one seems interesting. Hold on, it's loading. This one is from a music witch. She said, shake my damn head. When a nation doesn't care about their own... Oh, this is on our CHIP video. Which is CHIP, by the way. Republicans have actually decided to fund CHIP. Oh, yeah, here's the hashtag. I got a sign. Hashtag. All right. So this is the CHIP video we did last week. A couple weeks ago. And here's what she said. Shake my damn head. When a nation doesn't care about their own poor kids, the nation will split in half. But honestly, it felt it it honestly has felt like two different nations presided on the same soil ever since the sham artist started his presidential campaign. Remember how we all howled and laughed at the thought of the orange anus ever running for president? I feel like we've lived in a skewed reality ever since then. I think you're sort of right, Miss Divine Music Witch. I don't like your name, but I think you're right in that we did. There was a time where Donald Trump. I got to give him credit where credit is due. Like Donald Trump was so good at schnookering America. Like first he snookered those 17 Republican candidates because none of them thought that Donald Trump was going to be the nominee, and slowly but surely he used his nicknaming, his marketing skills to get them all. First he had Little Marco, Lying Ted, Hold the Bible High, and then he lies. And then, of course, the best name of them all, I got to give it to him, Crooked Hillary. That thing stuck so hard. Like, it literally stuck to Hillary like a tattoo on a biker's ass. And she just could not, because everything she did literally was just, well, told you she was crooked. Crooked Hillary, back at it again. And she couldn't get around it. And people didn't know what to think of President Trump because I think the Democrats, what we did is we threw too much stuff. We're like, oh, he's a philanderer. He's a bad businessman. He's unfit. He's crazy. We threw all this stuff. And none of it stuck because we were throwing too much. We should throw one thing, like bad businessman, period. Or he's a philanderer, period. Or he's mentally unfit, period. We threw the kitchen sink at him, and he was like, yeah. Throw the kitchen sink at me, but she's still crooked. And everything the Clinton campaign did sort of just walked into them being crooked. And now he's the president. So I think she's sort of right. He laughed his way right into the White House. We'll see if he laughs his way out the White House. That we don't know. Also, before we go, breaking news, President Trump just said that he is open to a pathway to citizenship for the Dreamers. I guess that's good news. Now the question is this. Will he get House Republicans to support him on a pathway to Dreamers? Noreen, get over what? I'm over it. He's the president. I'm over the fact I call him President Trump. I'm not one of these liberals that say, 45 or like he's not my president. No, he's the president. He's the president. He's the president. And Hillary was a horrible candidate. She was. She didn't have a clear message. She didn't articulate her vision for the American people. She didn't outline exactly what she would do to make their lives better. And I think on top of that, she thought that she took a lot of voting pockets for granted. She took a lot of voting pockets for granted. She took African-American voters for granted. She took young voters for granted. She thought she had them in the bag and she didn't have to work for them. And as a result, she lost. And President Trump counted on a loyal base. But let's be real, his loyal base was made up of white people, period. End of story. It was a whole bunch of white people. And they voted for him in record number. And he's president. Mind you, Hillary Clinton did win the popular vote, but Donald Trump won exactly where he needed to win to be president of the United States. There's no ands or buts about it. Even if the Mueller investigation comes back and says the Russians engaged in our election and Trump colluded with them, it doesn't take away from the fact that he was able to pick off enough voters in the right place to win this election. The Clinton people have tried to blame it on the Bernie bots, on third-party voting. They try to blame it on all sorts of crap. The truth of the matter is they ran a bad campaign and they didn't have a conversation with the American people. Period. Thoughts on the FBI scandal? Sure, Tyler. So, here's my thought. There is nobody that goes to work without some sort of some sort of leaning and some sort of thought, right? But I think it's everybody. Like, for example, outside of having the Fowler Show, I have clients. I have people that I work for. I don't agree with everything my client does, but that's not my job. My job is to help my client fulfill their goal or fulfill their mission. And I have to put my personal feelings aside. So it doesn't matter how I feel about a particular scenario or situation. I've got to do my job. And so I think texting about it is silly and stupid. But I think Mueller in himself is above reproach. Mueller's worked for Democrats. Mueller's worked for Republicans. There's none of the leaks that we're talking about have come from Mueller's team. They've come from other people, right? They've come from other people. They've come from other sources. They've come from legal teams who are being prosecuted by Mueller. But nothing has come from Mueller directly. So yes, there's some issues at the FBI, but let's be real. A lot of the issues at the FBI were sort of self-fulfilling prophecies because Donald Trump was over there meddling. He wanted loyalty pledges. He wanted to figure out this, that, and the third. And the other thing I will say is this. I don't think that like Andrew McCabe can be blamed for the fact that his wife wanted to run for office. I think that's unfair. I think that's absolutely unfair. That'd be like blaming my partner for what I say on my show. My show's an hour long and I say crazy things. I say crazy things on Fox. You can't blame my partner for what I say. Right? And I think so that is my take on the FBI scandal. Will we get to the bottom of it? We absolutely will. But I don't think that the FBI scandal takes away from the Mueller investigation. I think what Trump and his associates are trying to do is they're trying to connect the two, and I don't think the two can be connected. Because I think as soon as Mueller found out that Strzok had some sort of bias, he was removed from the team. We found out months later he was removed, but Mueller removed him right away. And then to AT's comment on Facebook, AT says, money wins elections, not necessarily, but all the people he made promises to. So here's where I disagree with you a little bit, AT, because Hillary Clinton had $1 billion. She ran a $1 billion campaign and still lost. Donald Trump, for whatever the reason, people believe, there was a belief. I mean, the most powerful thing that a human has is the power of belief, i.e. why people go to church every Sunday. And when you have a candidate that can tap into the power of belief, right, that is a winning candidate. Barack Obama did that with Hope and Change. Donald Trump did that with Make America Great Again. Everybody knew. You could literally sit here and tick off what Donald Trump's plans were for America. He was going to make America great again by building a wall. Who was going to pay for it? Mexico. We could all say that together. He was going to repeal and replace Obamacare. It was very clear what he was going to do. But to all the Hillary supporters, what was she going to do? Nobody can answer clearly what Hillary was going to do. Tell me the 3 things Hillary was going to do. I can't even answer. And I'm a quote-unquote Democrat. I don't know. Well, I guess she would have kept Obama. I guess she would have raised the minimum wage, maybe. But Obama, I mean, mind you, some of the Trump things we now know are not true. Like, Mexico's not going to pay for the wall. But, hey, do you feel in your heart that Trump is a racist? Oh, boy. So I have been very reluctant to rush to where everybody else is and calling this president racist. But I will say that he has not been, like, I don't think that he's, I don't think this president has, what's the word I'm looking for here? He hasn't done anything to, like, help raise credibility with African Americans. No talking points, no talking. I'm at a loss of words. I'm trying to explain this. I think if you talk to some African Americans, they will tell you, Central Park 5, housing discrimination. I put all that aside. I'm going to put the president's past aside. And I'm going to say from when he put his hand on the Bible to this past year, is this president racist? I don't know him, so I can't make those judgments. I will say that what we're seeing points to some prejudice that he has, for sure. I mean, I think you have Charlottesville, where he handled it horribly. There isn't many sides. There's one side. There's one good side in Charlottesville, and there's one bad side in Charlottesville. Neo-Nazis and KKK people, they're bad. We can all agree. We fought a war. It's called World War II, right? Where we said Nazis are bad. A lot of Americans died because Nazis are bad. 6 million Jews died because Nazis are bad. The KKK, they've been committing terror on black people since 1860, right? And so to align yourself with these people, problematic. Then to hire individuals in your in your orbit, to hire, appointees and to hire people who have said racist things. I mean, we found out this week that somebody else he hired said that black people have lax in morals, so on and so forth. There's that. Then I think let's bring us fast forward. That was Charlottesville. Now let's fast forward to his comments last week about shithole or shithouse countries. Now, obviously, he made these comments in the Oval Office, but number one, Africa is a continent, not a country. And number two, these places aren't shitholes. I spent a month in Africa. And every airport that I've been to in Africa, Troy, trust me, is better than LaGuardia and JFK. Period. The airport in Maputo, which is the capital city of Mozambique, is 10 times better than LaGuardia. It's not a shithole place. So this is what Troy says. Troy says, honestly, it hurts my feelings. It hurts my feelings when Dems call Trump supporters racist. I'm not racist. I just agree with his economic policies, not his personality. So here's my take on this, Troy, and with Valor. While they're 8 years in the White House, President Trump has been in the White House for 365 days. He's said things like "son of a bitch" at a campaign event. He's called Africa shithole, like a shithole. This type of language is inappropriate and unfortunate that he would use this type of language. Now we find out that he might have slept with a porn star while his wife was pregnant. Now this is all speculation, but the Wall Street Journal has this story almost cold, right? They've got it. And so I don't think that he's a role model. And I think every president should be. I even think that George Bush is a role model. People might disagree with me, but I think George Bush is a role model. I don't think Donald Trump is a role model in his actions. And I think the fact that a lot of the Christian conservative pastors have basically said, oh, yeah, he could cheat on his wife because his policies are good, that to me speaks to a lack of morals on their part. Because it's the job of these, televangelists and whatever to uphold, Christ's view on the world. And I just don't think that Jesus would be aligned with Trump. Maybe his economic policies, but not his other stuff. Right, that's my point, Troy. And I don't think and you're a Republican saying I love POTUS Obama personally, but not his politics. I don't think there's Democrats that like Trump but hate his politics. Most Democrats think that he's his words are awful. But anyway, I've got to get out of here because we've only do this for half an hour. But your questions are awesome. And don't worry, because next week, you and me, baby, we're going to do it again. I will answer all your questions. Don't make it too personal. But I'll answer all your questions next week, same time, same place, maybe different time, but same place though. And we'll see what happens. But anyway, as always on the Fowler Show, we're here to inform, empower, help you get your voice back. Follow us on Twitter at Fowler Show or at Richard A. Fowler. Follow us on Facebook. Or like our page on Facebook at Fowler Show or Google Fowler Show. I think it's Facebook/Fowler Show. But more important than anything else, I need you, Fowler Nation, Republicans, Democrats, people I went to high school with, people I went to middle school with, people I went to college with. I need you to subscribe to my podcast today. Don't waste any time. Troy, yes, your questions are awesome, but don't waste any time. Subscribe to my podcast today. Join the movement. The movement is nothing without you. And listen, you guys know I'm balanced. I will call a spade a spade. That's what we do here at the Fowler Show. No talking points, no talking heads, no smoking guns. Just you, me, and these three devices. It's pretty funny because I have one device here, and one device back here. I love ya, but I got to get the hell out of here. Bye, guys. Wait, how do I get rid of this? Wait. And